Georgie. And you're right, it was indeed an honor for me, along with my South Florida congressional delegation, to name the Miami VA Center the Bruce W. Carter Miami VA Center in name of a great patriot, a wonderful son. And today, on Father's Day, it's a fitting tribute that we should be gathered here today at the 72nd Annual National Convention Call of the American Gold Star Mothers. And I'm always humbled to be among so many of our nation's finest veterans and their families. And I have been both fortunate and grateful to enjoy tremendous support from so many of you. And thank you, Georgie, for your friendship and for your support these years. This country, as we know, was born of the heroic deeds of veterans, and it continues to live in freedom through the vigilance of those veterans, the sacrifices of those brave men and women who serve the United States. Those concerns are always on my mind and always on the mind of so many members of Congress. I'm fortunate that we come from a semi-military family, so we understand the call for duty, the call to duty, the call to serve one's country. My husband, Dexter, served our country as an Army Ranger, was wounded in Vietnam. My stepson, Douglas, and my daughter-in-law, Lindsay, have both returned from tours in Iraq, and Lindsay also served in Afghanistan. They're now instructors at the United States Naval Academy, still in the Marine Corps. Can I hear something? I knew it was coming. So my family and I know that the courage and the resolve that is required in order to devote one's life to the service of this great nation. And here in South Florida, we have a diverse cross-section of veterans. I'm honored to represent them in the United States Congress, and I will continue to advance the interest of our courageous men and women in uniform, both past and present. The sacrifices made by our servicemen and women are undeniable. As a nation and as a people, we must never forget all that they have given, every day protecting the privileges, the comforts, the freedoms that we as Americans enjoy and sometimes take so lightly. Our commitment to our veterans must never wane, must never falter. Earning the title of Gold Star Mother comes with a heavy weight of recognizing, as we do, what is required to be a Gold Star Mother. To lose a child in the line of duty in the service of our nation's armed forces. The loss of a child in any circumstance is a grievous blow to any family, but uniquely so to the mother who bore that child. And Gold Star mothers especially stand apart because of that. Your patriotism, your loyalty cannot be overstated. You, more than most, understand that our nation's freedom is not to be taken for granted. Today, we honor you, but let us not forget the Gold Star wives, dads, the children, the grandparents, the friends of our fallen heroes, all who have been impacted by that loss. And that grief that you have endured and continue to endure will never leave you, but rather perhaps may lessen for some with time, but it is always there. Yet you rise above the pain in a tribute to the life and the veterans who made it back from the war. Gold Star mothers have collectively served millions of hours in volunteer work, in personal service in our nation's veterans hospitals, investing in veterans themselves, in their families, and in our communities throughout the United States. Your grace, your empathy, your committed service are a true testament to the lives of the children whom you have lost. We must never stop trying, and I will never stop thanking you for the sacrifice, for the bravery of our servicemen and women, and it has to be unwavering, for we owe them a debt that we will certainly never repay. I am personally committed, as so many in our community, through my family, through their record, to the issues impacting veterans, and I will continue to work for veterans each and every day. Just recently, in remembrance of the deep loss of the patriotism of mothers who lost a son or a daughter serving in our armed forces, we co-sponsored a bill that was passed supporting the goals and purposes of today, Gold Star Mother Day. As a Gold Star mother, similar to many of you, one Gold Star mother was Mrs. Lydia Bixby of Boston, and she received a letter by one of our most highly respected presidents of this great country, President Abraham Lincoln. And let me just read an excerpt of that letter that Mrs. Bixby of Boston received, and it's dated November 21st, 1864, Executive Mansion. Dear Madam, I feel how weak and fruitless must be any words of mine which should attempt to beguile you from the grief of a loss so overwhelming. But I cannot refrain from tendering to you the consolation that may be found in the thanks of a republic they died to save. I pray that our Heavenly Father may assuage the anguish of your bereavement and leave you only the cherished memory of the loved and lost, and the solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. Yours very sincerely and respectfully, A. Lincoln. And we cannot say enough, and we cannot say thank you enough. And that reality of that debt was articulated not only by Abraham Lincoln, but also by another writer who said, "We sleep safely in our beds because rough men stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would harm us." So protecting us and your children, you have become part of what Abraham Lincoln called the mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and every patriot grave. And the broad challenge for us today is to carry forth that mantle of freedom and diversity of thought and expression, of progress against disease and hunger and human misery. And our opponents, whether they were back in the day of empires or recently in the human history as the Civil War, or recently in your own loss, with the opponents of today, whether it's Al-Qaeda or Hezbollah or Hamas or the Muslim Brotherhood or Islamic Jihad or other reactionary radical Islamic movement, they recoil at the attributes of freedom. They recoil at the possibility that their own people could actually choose for themselves with information and opportunities that aren't controlled by the central authority, and they fear that. But I'm proud that our nation stands with our veterans, and they stand with those who want to offer that opportunity of freedom to enslaved people throughout the world. I'm proud to have become part of Lincoln's heritage, and you should be as well as Americans. And I'm proud as well to have been, in his famous words, to be touched by the better angels of our nature. And you must be proud as well. In the name of Bruce and so many others who are the better angels of our nature, thank you for your service and thank you for this opportunity.